We have here a 2008 Volkswagen Jetta. It's a 2.5 liter, and the customer's concern is that she has a trouble code and there's a little bit of hard starting. She had a mobile mechanic come out and she couldn't tell me what part he changed, but he charged her some money. The check engine light never went off. She says it does run better since he worked on it, but she's not happy and not willing to call him back for any type of warranty situation or anything like that. So let's get it scanned and see what trouble codes it's got.
Okay, let's get in here and get the trouble codes. And we have P2279, leak in air intake system. And then P0300, random misfire. P0301, cylinder 1 misfire. P0303, cylinder 3 misfire. P0302, cylinder 2 misfire. And P0171, system 2 lean, fuel trim bank 1. So what direction do we take? Is it misfiring because it's lean, or is it lean because it's misfiring? Well, first of all, let's take a look at the data groups. And let me start the car. So we're going to hit done, go back, measuring blocks. 15 and 16 give us our misfire counters. And as you can see there, it is showing a few misfires. This car is dead cold though. And so that's to be expected a little bit. Maybe number 1 there a bit. But since it isn't really going up rapidly, that's not much of a misfire. So let's go to 32 and 33 and look at our fuel trim. And as you can see here, our at idle fuel trim. Okay, after a quick interruption, we are looking at fuel trim here in 32 and 33. And looking here at this one, you can see it goes into the positive and then into the negative. And what that means is the fuel trim is going up, adding fuel in the positive and then taking fuel away in the negative. That's called being in fuel control. So it's able to be in to make the car run acceptably. That's what it's trying to do. But it has already up here adapted 8.4%. Some cars, I believe, from watching videos on YouTube and stuff, this is a 1-to-1 ratio. If this goes up 1%, it'll eventually fall over to the long term and it'll go up 1%. But it really doesn't seem that way with Volkswagens. It's almost like a 2-to-1 ratio. So this is a lot this is a lot lean. And over here at partial, that is when you're partially accelerating, and that's out also. So if you want to go with total fuel trim, 8.4 plus whatever's down here is not above the 10 that they normally make the spec. But from my experience, the long-term fuel trim or the lambda idle self-adaptation carries a whole lot more weight than this down here. Meaning this 1% up here means a whole lot leaner than 1% down here. So at this point, I have to discuss what the customer told me. They had a mobile mechanic come out, and I've got two opinions of mobile mechanics. Sometimes mobile mechanics are fantastic mechanics who are the top of the line people, but sometimes mobile mechanics are just a mechanic who hung out a shingle and he's a Joe average mechanic. So I don't know what to think when she says she had a mobile mechanic come out. So I really wish she would have understood better what repair he had done, but she couldn't even tell me what part he'd replaced. So since we have lean trouble codes and we have obviously a lean condition showed on here, I think our first knee-jerk reaction should be to check for vacuum leaks. We could do that with a smoke test or by spraying starting fluid or something on it to see. In this situation, I'm going to go with smoke testing it first. We'll get out the smoke machine.
So I'm in the process of taking this off. I've already taken this off and unplugged here and partially taken this off. And I just noticed that this is nice and duct taped. And that's some quality work there. And I did see that there is a new valve cover gasket there installed. So maybe that's what the mobile mechanic did. Okay, so Bob has pulled the engine cover for us and hooked up the smoke machine. And you've probably seen this in other videos. We take this and we shove it into the intake. How have you been using this thing, Bob?
I'll never tell.
Anyway, we take this thing and we stick it in here, and then we pump it up, and that gives us a good seal inside that tube, and then we can smoke check. For those of you that don't know, a smoke machine will push smoke into the intake manifold and will generally show you most vacuum leaks in a quick and efficient manner. There's lots of tubes that come off of this, and if those tubes were disconnected, that would be unmetered air. Not necessarily a vacuum leak, but unmetered air can behave the same way. Starting to see something come out in the back there. You see that? Let me go get a mirror.
A few moments later.
Well, this is amazing. I don't know why this mobile mechanic put a valve cover gasket on there, but his valve cover gasket is leaking. You say, why is the smoke coming from the valve cover gasket? Because the smoke pushes into the intake manifold, and the intake manifold provides vacuum to the crankcase vent, and the crankcase vent goes inside here. So any leak of the crankcase causes a vacuum leak. So what is happening now is smoke's coming out here, but what is happening during operation is vacuum or suction is pulling air into here, and that's coming straight into the intake manifold as unmetered air. I'm going to try and get you a better look here. Now, if you look in the mirror, you can probably see that the gasket, you can see it coming all along here, and then right there where the smoke's coming out, the gasket is pushed inside. Let me just turn the smoke machine off. So as you come along the gasket, you can see right there, the gasket is pushed inside. And so he just simply misshaped the gasket a little bit. Probably, maybe we could reset the gasket and fix it. Or maybe we need to get a valve cover gasket. I guess we can take it apart real quick and see. Bob has pulled this valve cover, and right here in the problem area the gasket's completely split. Most likely he didn't have it seated right and it fell over some, and the tightening of it just cut it off. So we'll get a valve cover gasket coming and put it back together. Our friendly local auto parts store had one in stock. And there's the part number of it. Hopefully this repair will go really fast. Okay, Bob has finished up the gasket replacement, and as you can see back there, there is no smoke pouring out from the valve cover gasket. We are getting some smoke though. Now that the valve cover gasket is sealed up, there's some pressure built up, and so with that pressure, we now have a little bit of smoke coming out right here. Probably not enough to be a problem, but we'll pull that boot off, clean it, and reseat that clamp, and that'll probably fix that. And then something's leaking back here, which I haven't yet figured out. Probably it's fairly minor. My light's dying. So, honestly, that could be coming all the way from the rear main seal. But for now, I think we're going to finish up the installation and see how well it runs. Okay, so I found the source of the rest of the smoke. It's just popping out of that tube right there. And we should be able to replace that tube and probably solve most of the issue. That's probably going to solve all our issue, and that's just going to help. That's probably just a little bit of unmetered air, because you have to understand where that tube's coming from. Our smoke machine is pushing air into here. It's going from here down into the secondary air pump. It's passing through the secondary air pump up through this tube into here. So it's just a very small unmetered air leak. But we'll get that fixed, and customer should be happy.
Okay, on this Jetta 2.5 liter that had the valve cover leak, let's scan codes, or let's get the codes cleared. Now, if you remember, our fuel trims were way off. As soon as, I'm going to go look, as soon as you clear codes, 32 and 33, and see here our fuel trim is at 11% on the partial. That one's changed significantly. I would assume that's because it's running and it's learning and it's correcting. But as soon as we clear codes, it's going to reset these. So I wanted to look at them first to see if they were correcting, and I think that's that way because it was correcting. It was like 8 or 9% positive before, and now it's 0.9% positive. And now it's 0.9% negative. It actually just changed to 1.1% negative. But that's because it's relearning that it doesn't have this huge vacuum leak due to the valve cover gasket being leaking. Understand the valve cover gasket leak, though, since the crankcase is put under vacuum from the crankcase vent valve. That is a vacuum leak. So I'm going to go ahead and go back and clear codes. It says 11 fault codes, but we triggered some of them during the testing process. I'm going to go ahead and clear codes here. And we'll go back to our measuring blocks 32 and 33. And we'll see what it does from there. I'm going to go road test it.
A few moments later.
Okay. I'm in the dark because I'm inside the shop, inside the car, but I have road tested this car. We have fuel trims right here under good fuel control. See, it's going from negative to positive. The idle has not adapted hardly at all, and the partial has only adapted 1.6. That's real good fuel control. Now, hopefully over time as she drives this, the small other leak that we saw on the pipe, the little plastic pipe, won't cause a big issue, but we are recommending replacing that to her, but she needs her car right now, so we're going to rush this over to her and maybe order that part that's duct taped and that other pipe and put it on for her later. If you enjoyed this video or you learned anything from it, click the like button. And if you want to donate to the continued production of these videos, find the donate icon on my website at www.kansascitytdi.com. And if you want to watch some more of my videos, there'll be one up there and one down there. And don't forget to subscribe right there. Thanks for watching.